Hello and welcome to Cow Gaming's Halo 2 LASO Co-op guide. This is the first video in the series, and over the course of the next few minutes, I'll explain what LASO is, why I chose to make this series, and end off with a few tips for those who want to start their own LASO Co-op runs. Now, let's get the show on the road. First, what is LASO? It's an acronym that stands for Legendary All Skulls On, meaning that we will be playing Halo 2 on the highest difficulty with all skulls or difficulty modifiers on. Well, not exactly all skulls, but a selected 14 of them, so perhaps it would be better to call this Legendary Some Skulls On, but LASO doesn't have quite the same ring to it. Now that I've explained what Halo 2 LASO is, I can move on to the second topic, or why am I making this series? It all stems from the Halo Completionist LASO guides, which are really in-depth and have been extremely helpful to us in our previous runs. However, those videos are meant for single player, and I believe that there are certain portions of the game where teamwork can make it easier. For example, you can get on top of this wall by jumping on top of your partner's head and having him jump as well to boost you, thereby skipping a grenade jump. Furthermore, Halo Completionist guides assume that you have some level of skill, but to be honest, I'm not very good at Halo or FPS games in general. I have trouble sticking enemies, don't know how to do any combos like a BXB, BXR or whatnot, and I can barely do grenade jumps. As such, it is sometimes hard for me and my partner to follow those guides, and thus another reason for the series is to make them simpler so that even scrubs like me can do it. And if I can do it, so can you. Now, I will go into some interesting skulls and how to deal with them. The first one on the list is the Black Eye Skull. With this on, your shields will not regenerate normally, and instead you have to melee allies or enemies down to get your shields back, although using the energy sword does not count. This means that if you lose your shields, you will constantly be hearing the beeping sound until you die or beat up an ally or enemy to death, and that's easier said than done when you have no shields to survive. This skull makes it really difficult to progress through the game, and the beeping sounds make you want to punch a hole through your sound system. However, one benefit about this skull is that you can go up to a double overshoot by beating stuff up. Also, some objects like barricades and vehicles somehow count, so you can get shields from them. Next, the Assassin Skull. This skull makes all enemies cloaked. Yes, invisible enemies everywhere. Well, at least you can see them by the shimmers in the air. Your allies, however, cannot see the enemies and will not shoot them. To fix that, you need to damage the enemies for the invisibility to fail, but do note that it turns on again after a while. Number 3, the Blind Skull. If you're wondering about the missing hood in the previous clips, it is all thanks to this guy. No reticle, no ammo count, no map, nothing. Obviously, having no reticle makes it almost impossible to hit enemies, but that can be fixed by sticking a piece of translucent tape on your screen and drawing the reticle in with a marker. One more annoying thing about this skull is that you can't see what weapon you're holding, but you and your partner can easily tell each other about that, or you could tell by the sound that each weapon makes whenever you switch it out. The Angler Skull causes enemies to fire their weapons really quickly, lighting you up in a matter of seconds. One good thing, however, is that plasma weapons overheat, so elites spamming plasma rifle shots have to stand still and wait for their weapon to cool down, which is an opportunity to stick them with a plasma grenade or backstab them. With the Famine Skull, the weapons that enemies drop have half the ammo. Allies, on the other hand, drop the full amount of ammo, so use that information wisely. The Sputnik Skull is my favourite out of them all. Its first effect is that enemies that you melee will turn around, allowing you to easily assassinate them. The other effect is that objects are lighter, so they fly further, meaning that you might accidentally get splattered by boxes. On the other hand, LASO strategies often include pushing boxes to block off spawn points or paths, so I personally like the time saved from objects being able to fly faster and further. Now, let's move on to a few general tips for a co-op LASO run. First, both players need to play through the first 2 missions separately if you want to get the achievement for completing Halo 2 on LASO. The first mission is just a cutscene and the second is just a tutorial, so make sure you complete those or you aren't getting the achievement at the end of the run. Second, you need to decide which player hosts the lobby. The player who isn't hosting can sometimes get noticeable input lag that makes combat a nightmare and platforming stunts impossible. I would advise you to test playing Mission 2 Outskirts because that level in particular gives us a lot of lag for some reason. Preferably, the person with the worst PC should be the host because you don't want the network lag to be compounded with system lag. However, do note that hosting on lower end PC setups can cause the game to crash and wipe out your progress in the mission, especially when you have been playing for an extended period of time, so you have to weigh that as well in the decision. Finally, you will notice that the guide mainly uses clips with updated graphics, but that is because I think the videos look better with the new graphics, and I personally like seeing the new graphics compared to the old one. However, it is in fact beneficial to use old graphics, especially for spotting cloaked enemies, and there will be a lot of them due to Assassin's Skull. So I recommend that, though it is ultimately up to personal preference. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Do check out the next video where we'll be tackling one of the hardest missions right off the bat, Cairo Station.